Republican governors are shipping illegal aliens to Democrat-run sanctuary cities, and liberals are going absolutely crazy about it. You would think that the people who knowingly put laws in place to protect illegal aliens from prosecution and deportation would be thrilled to have the opportunity to prove just how caring they really are. But instead, they are freaking out. They're losing their collective minds over the thought of actually having to put their asinine theories into real-world practice. But through the craziness, one thing is always certain. You can always count on America's Governor Ron DeSantis to work those liberal pinheads into a frenzy by using their own hypocrisy against them. It's like the old expression says, the entire progressive left is playing checkers, but Ron DeSantis is playing chess. This is JP with Political Pop Culture, and this is my take. So on Wednesday, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis chartered 2 airplanes, he filled them full of illegal aliens, and he sent them to Martha's Vineyard. Now, Massachusetts is a sanctuary state. Well, sort of. In 2017, the Supreme Judicial Court of Massachusetts ruled that court officers do not have the authority to arrest someone who is suspected of being in the United States illegally unless that person is facing other criminal charges. In other words, that effectively gives sanctuary status to the entire state of Massachusetts. But that didn't stop officials in Martha's Vineyard from almost immediately busing the illegal immigrants off of their island. In their defense, though, it was probably the first time that residents of Martha's Vineyard had ever encountered people of color who weren't making their beds. Or, named Obama. Seriously, though, the hypocrisy of the left is shameful. Senator Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts vilified Ron DeSantis for dropping migrants off in Martha's Vineyard without giving advanced warning to the local officials there. It is cruel to treat human beings like pawns in a political game. He has reached a new low, she said of DeSantis. But I tell you what, don't talk to us about low, Senator Pocahontas. You lied for years about your ethnicity, and that eliminates any moral ground that you wish you could stand on. Democrat Senator Tim Kaine of Virginia was particularly butthurt. He went so far as to say the, quote, stunt should disqualify DeSantis from ever running for president. In fact, he said, "It's a horrible stunt, but none was worse than what DeSantis just did, and that should disqualify him from ever serving one more day in office." You know what, though? You're not really in any position to question anybody else's ethics, Senator Kaine. After all, the only reason you're not currently in prison is because of your state's ridiculously lax ethics laws. While Tim Kaine was lieutenant governor and governor of Virginia, he accepted over $160,000 in gifts. He's just another corrupt liberal trying to somehow claim he's got moral superiority. The appropriately named Dick Durbin of Illinois called out Texas Governor Greg Abbott, saying it was cruel and inhuman to send illegal aliens to Chicago without coordinating with local authorities. "When the governor of Texas will not even give us a phone call to tell us these families are arriving on buses in Union Station in Chicago, it is cruel and inhuman, and it's a petty political stunt on his part. I hope he's held accountable." Durbin talked about a couple who trekked across Central America with their 2 children to reach the United States to request asylum, who, quote, went through every conceivable indignity to reach safe haven. "Now they come to the United States and have the governor of Texas heap this indignity on them. It's just unfair and un-American," Durbin said. Well, you know what, Dick? I actually agree with you. No, really, I do. These illegal aliens walked across Central America, kids in tow. They finally reached the United States and request asylum, only to have to suffer the indignity of being sent to Chicago. I mean, here they come from one third world cesspool, only to wind up being sent to another. Well, at least Lori Lightfoot put them back on buses and sent them someplace nicer, am I right? Speaking of a nicer place for that like button would be right underneath your cursor as you're clicking on it. Then, hey, while you're there, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and click on the notification bell. That way, you're going to be the first to know anytime we drop new content like this. Hey, you'll also be helping the channel out by telling the algorithm to show this video to other people who might enjoy it. Every little bit helps, so thank you. Even President Biden took a break from napping and ice cream long enough to condemn DeSantis, accusing the Florida governor of, quote, playing politics with people's lives. Why, it's almost like President Biden doesn't remember that his administration illegally sent dozens of flights filled with illegal aliens to cities across the state of Florida. You know what? Scratch that. He doesn't remember that or how to tie his shoes. Media darling and complete moron Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez said in a tweet, quote, "It's appalling that far-right politicians seem to have decided that fall before an election is their regularly scheduled time to commit crimes against humanity and refugees. Don't normalize this. Lying to and trafficking people for TV and clicks isn't politics as usual. It's abuse." Hey there, princess. Did you miss how quickly your rich, white, elitist Democrat friends forced those illegals out of their little oasis? It was less than 24 hours. I guess that's just as long as people of color are allowed to stay on the exclusive and racist Vineyard. My absolute favorite meltdown of all, though, has to come from that empty suit. Governor Hairgel himself, Gavin Newsom of the People's Republic of California. California Governor Newsom asks Department of Justice to explore kidnapping charges regarding migrant flights to Martha's Vineyard. "Like millions of Americans, I've been horrified at the images of migrants being shipped on buses and planes across the country to be used as political props, bro," Newsom wrote in a letter to Attorney General Merrick Garland. "Dude, clearly transporting families, including children, across state lines under false pretenses, that's morally reprehensible. It may also be illegal, bro." Now, look, Gavin Newsom is easy to pick on, okay? I mean, his state is bleeding residents. On one hand, they're banning the sale of gasoline-powered cars while simultaneously telling people not to charge their Teslas because the power grid is collapsing. You've got criminal groups robbing retail stores blind with no fear of prosecution. Human waste and heroin needles line the streets. But this absolute failure of a governor wants to take a swing at Ron DeSantis? Ron DeSantis, who by any metric is the most successful governor in the country? Tell you what, I'll let DeSantis handle Newsom himself.
So the governor of California sent a letter to the Department of Justice saying you need to prosecute Texas and Florida governors. And all I can say is I think his hair gel is interfering with his brain function.
That clip pretty much sums up how every rational American feels about Gavin Newsom. There are a lot of reasons people are leaving his state in record numbers, and his failed policies are only making things worse for the poor people who can't get the hell out of California. It's no coincidence that as a contrast, Florida is growing and thriving under the competent leadership of Ron DeSantis. As for all those liberals losing their minds over Ron DeSantis and Greg Abbott transporting illegal aliens to the Democrats' backyards, don't plan on it ending anytime soon. Lawmakers in Florida have set aside $12 million to relocate illegal aliens from the state, and Governor DeSantis says he plans to use every penny of that money to protect Florida. I've got to tell you, I, for one, think sending illegal aliens to the very people whose policies are luring them here in the first place is the right thing to do. If the Democrats don't like the influx of illegals in their backyards, maybe they should think about changing their stupid, moronic, crazy sanctuary laws. And maybe they should start thinking about protecting our border.
The border is secure.
That's my take. What's your take? You can let me know your take in the comments below. You can also let me know your take by joining the cult at PolPopCult on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Rumble, and Truth Social. Thank you for listening.